Bridges, dams, highways, and railroads, they weren't just built from steel and stone. They were built from ambition, from the will of a nation determined to connect its people, tame its rivers, and chase the horizon. These were not just engineering feats. They were the lifelines of the American dream. The Hoover Dam, towering above the Colorado River, turned desert into farmland and darkness into light. Route 66, the legendary Mother Road, carried millions westward in search of hope and opportunity. The Transcontinental Railroad stitched the continent together, transforming 6 months of perilous travel into a single week's journey. And the Gateway Arch in St. Louis rose as a shining monument to expansion, the symbolic door to the west. Each of these icons is more than concrete, steel, or stone. They are America's heartbeat, captured in engineering, carved into landscapes, and written into the nation's story. And as we travel through these monuments of power and imagination, don't forget to subscribe to the America We Knew, where we bring history to life, one landmark, one memory, and one dream at a time. Hoover Dam, the wall that tamed a river. In the blazing desert between Nevada and Arizona, where the Colorado River once raged unchecked, Americans built a wall of concrete so massive it seemed to defy nature itself. This was the Hoover Dam, completed in 1936, the largest of its kind in the world at the time, and a triumph of engineering during one of the nation's darkest hours. The Great Depression had left millions without work, without hope. Yet here, thousands of men found both. Under scorching sun and through searing winds, they worked day and night, pouring enough concrete to pave a highway across the continent. The heat was merciless, the shifts grueling, but their labor forged a monument that would stand for centuries. When the last buckets were poured and the turbines began to spin, the Colorado River was no longer a wild, untamed force. It was harnessed, its power converted into electricity that lit homes and factories, its waters directed to irrigate farmlands that would feed millions. From the dam rose Lake Mead, the largest reservoir in the nation, a shimmering sea born in the middle of the desert. But Hoover Dam was more than a utility. It was a statement, a declaration that even in the hardest times, America could summon the will to build, to endure, and to rise higher. It embodied the belief that human ingenuity could shape landscapes, tame rivers, and carve opportunity out of stone. Today, when you stand at the top of Hoover Dam and look out over the endless desert and the vast blue expanse of Lake Mead, you don't just see a structure. You see the spirit of a generation that refused to give in, the wall that tamed a river, and with it, gave new life to the American West. Route 66, the Mother Road. Few roads in the world carry the same weight of memory and myth as Route 66. Opened in 1926, it stretched nearly 2,500 miles, from the skyscrapers of Chicago, across the plains and deserts, all the way to the palm trees of Los Angeles. It wasn't just a highway on a map. It was a ribbon of freedom, tying together the heart of America with the promise of the West. In the 1930s, as dust storms swallowed farms and families fled the barren plains of Oklahoma, Route 66 became their lifeline. Convoys of old Fords rattled westward, mattresses and suitcases tied to their roofs, children peering out the windows with eyes full of both fear and hope. They followed the road to California in search of work, dignity, and survival. For them, Route 66 was not just asphalt. It was escape. It was possibility. But the Mother Road was more than hardship. It became a symbol of adventure, a stage for the American road trip. By the 1950s and 60s, neon diners, quirky motels, and roadside attractions turned the drive into an experience. Rock and roll spilled from car radios, teenagers cruised in shiny Chevrolets, and Route 66 pulsed with the spirit of independence. It was the soundtrack of a nation in motion, carried forward on 4 wheels. Imagine it, a family car packed with luggage, the father gripping the wheel, the mother unwrapping sandwiches for the kids in the back seat. Out the window, endless horizons roll by, billboards, gas stations with smiling attendants, glowing neon signs promising the best pie in town. The hum of tires on the open road was the sound of America itself. Though much of Route 66 was replaced by modern interstates, its legend never died. Today, travelers still seek it out, not for speed, but for nostalgia. They drive it slowly, stopping at faded diners and weathered landmarks, chasing the echo of an era when the road was freedom and every mile was a story. Route 66 endures as the Mother Road, a highway that carried not just cars, but the dreams of a nation westward into the horizon. Transcontinental Railroad, the rails that united a nation. Before 1869, the vast American continent often felt like two separate worlds. The East was crowded with factories, farms, and growing cities. The West was a frontier of mountains, deserts, and untamed opportunity. To travel between them meant 6 grueling months by wagon or weeks of dangerous sea voyages around South America. The dream of a connected nation seemed almost impossible. Then came the Transcontinental Railroad, stretching nearly 2,000 miles from Omaha, Nebraska, to Sacramento, California. It was the project that would stitch the nation together. Thousands of workers, Irish immigrants laying track from the east, Chinese laborers carving through the Sierra Nevada from the west, battled snowstorms, scorching deserts, and sheer rock faces to bring the dream to life. On May 10, 1869, at Promontory Summit in Utah, the two rail lines finally met. Dignitaries and workers gathered as a ceremonial golden spike was hammered into place. Telegraph wires carried the news instantly across the country. Done. In that moment, a divided continent was united. The impact was immediate and transformative. What once took half a year by wagon could now be done in just 7 days by train. Trade flourished as goods and resources moved across the country at speeds never before imagined. Immigrants poured westward, settling new towns along the line. For better and worse, the frontier was opened, fueling expansion, opportunity, and also conflict with native peoples whose lands were forever changed. But the symbolism was undeniable. The railroad wasn't just steel and timber. It was a lifeline, a bridge across mountains and plains, proof that America's ambition could span a continent. Even today, the story of the Golden Spike ceremony endures, a moment when cheers erupted, champagne flowed, and an entire nation celebrated the rails that united East and West. Gateway Arch, the door to the West. On the banks of the Mississippi River in St. Louis rises a monument unlike any other, a perfect arc of stainless steel, soaring 630 feet into the sky. The Gateway Arch, completed in 1965, is the tallest arch in the world and one of the boldest architectural statements ever built in America. Its sweeping curve was designed not only to dazzle the eye, but to symbolize a turning point in the nation's story. St. Louis was once known as the gateway to the West, the launch point for pioneers, traders, and explorers venturing into the unknown. The arch was built as a memorial to Thomas Jefferson and the spirit of westward expansion, that restless drive to push past horizons, to build, to discover, to dream. Standing beneath it, the scale is overwhelming. Its stainless steel surface reflects sun, clouds, and sky, changing with every moment of the day. Inside, a tram carries visitors to the very top, where tiny windows offer a view stretching for miles. East toward the city's skyline, west toward the rolling expanse that once beckoned settlers. But perhaps the most breathtaking moment comes at sunset. Picture the arch glowing gold as the sun sinks behind it, its reflection shimmering across the wide Mississippi. The shadow stretches long, as if reaching back across the river to touch both past and present. It is at once modern and timeless, an icon of steel that captures a nation's enduring ambition. The Gateway Arch is not just a monument. It is a threshold, a reminder that America was built on courage and the belief that beyond every frontier lies another chapter waiting to be written. From the Hoover Dam, taming a mighty river and turning desert into power, to Route 66, the mother road that carried families west in search of hope, to the Transcontinental Railroad, rails of iron that bound a continent together, and finally, the soaring Gateway Arch, a gleaming doorway to the frontier. Each of these landmarks tells more than an engineering story. They tell the story of America itself. These were not just projects of stone, steel, or concrete. They were visions, brought to life by hands that refused to quit, by people who believed the future could be built one brick, 1 mile, one spike at a time. Together, they created not just infrastructure, but a spirit of ambition, resilience, and the endless drive to push forward. So let me ask you, if you could travel through time, which of these American icons would you want to witness being built? Would it be the pounding of the Golden Spike, the first car rolling down Route 66, or the day the Colorado River finally bent to the wall of the Hoover Dam? Share your answer in the comments. And if this journey inspired you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the America We Knew. Because here, we don't just tell history. We bring it back to life, one landmark, one story, and one dream at a time.